This is a review of episode 8 of the Orville season 3, Midnight Blue. It's movie length. It was about 90 minutes. It was a cross between Chain of Command from the Next Generation and some other stuff. A little bit of the Drumhead, a little bit of some other things thrown in. Not a fun episode, certainly, but they had to redeem Clyden at the end, so they had to fix that. But so we had a cameo by Dolly Parton, who I assume that they made up to look a little younger than in her late 70s. But yeah, but it was her. Actually, it was actually her. They did a lot of makeup. Anyway, so. But yeah, she's 70. So. But yeah, so yeah, it's odd. They go to the Orville goes to the sanctuary planet, and Commander Lady Kelly and Vortas invite the kid along, Topa, which is probably a bad idea to begin with. Something was going to happen. It's pretty obvious. So yeah, it was kind of obvious. But I didn't think they were actually going to be brutal in the story. That's kind of messed up. So it was also Taken. It was also that series Taken with the so there's there's a lot of weird decisions in the story. Well, first of all, Topa, B story that doesn't get addressed, is infatuated with the commander guy, but she's like a little sister. So that they dropped that story arc quickly, because he's not interested. Obviously, he's too old. But she goes on to the mission to the planet, and they don't address it again. They don't go there just to say like, oh yeah, you can't be obsessed with mentors. She finds a new obsession in a sense. She goes to meet the historic mentor author lady on the planet, the old woman on the planet colony, who then I guess in Moclan society, which is kind of weird because they age quickly like Klingons. But unlike Klingons, female Klingon warriors are more fierce than male ones, yes. But anyway, so that's why they may not rule the council during Next Generation, because they're afraid of them. Yeah, that's what it is. But yes, the... but as for Moclans, the very distant cousins, Canary Space name, Havina. Very much so. There's a lot of she's the old lady isn't thinking, even though she should know all this stuff from having raised a colony of females. Don't entrust them to be your spies or mules. You try to entrust them to be a spy. And of course, the bad guys who were also on the planet, they're literally guys, are listening, and they kidnap her. They kidnap Topa in the jungle. There's something about a blue firefly thing that she follows, and they kidnap her. It's really obvious that was going to happen. But what they take her to this base and they brutalize her, which is messed up. And meanwhile, they're able to go. Orville doesn't know that all this is going on. This black ops site on this other planet. The Orville takes the Havina lady to... They're trying to look for the kid, but they take the Havina lady back to Earth, and then try to get the three from the three guys from the Moclan trial group to admit that they have taken her, but they won't. And to go to the black site. Meanwhile, we have our heroes. We have the Moclan commander, Bortas, and Bortas, yeah, Blortus, board us and the commander lady, Grayson. They're on the planet. On this planet, the Black Ops planet. They have a cloaked shuttle, but they do the Star Trek Discovery thing, and they land like a mile from it, from the Black Ops site in the shuttle. And like, even though they sabotaged the shuttle before they left, so the bad guys knew what was going on. The bad guys' DNA would have been all over the shuttle. But they fixed the shuttle and they took off, and now they're on this Black Ops planet. But they stop a mile away. Grayson is briefly injured, and then they repair the injury because they have space equipment. There's a torn ligament from falling from a jump. All they had to do was read that scene up and have the shuttle land near the base, just outside the perimeter. But they didn't do that. All that other stuff wouldn't have happened. Also, always put a tracking device on your away team so that they can find your person. I was expecting Orville to show up and then rescue them for the firefight at some point, or maybe during the battle scene. But no, they sort of dropped the story arc with the guy wanting to help rescue the girl, the helmsman dude from last episode, wanting to rescue everybody, but he doesn't actually fly in and rescue them. They haven't done anything with that fighter that they put in the shuttle bay at all. I don't know why they have it and they didn't use it. Could be COVID restrictions. I don't know, because they were doing it during the COVID when they filmed the series. I have two of the characters from the cast in this episode. There's evil bad guys in it. Indirectly, I don't really know them. They just sounded kind of like they could be in the cast. It wasn't us. No, I was not on the Orville. And they rescue Topa, and we get to see the evil torturer guy who's torturing her for information. She does give away the name of the whoever it is, the spy, but he has a torture stick, and we get to see Ortis like kill the shit out of the bad guy Inquisitor dude, and jam the stick thing into his one. He has one good eye, the evil Inquisitor. Jams the stick into his eye socket. Totally fucking killed him. So yeah, he's dead. That guy's very dead. So that was cool. But the bad guy totally got. And then they managed to zap back to Earth because they have quantum drives for the end of the trial, so they can show their kids all horribly mutilated, and then of course take her back to sickbay and fix her. The Mockless break out of the Union because over these spy assholes, which doesn't really make sense. But if they don't have lawyers during the trial, they had this weird like the hostile witnesses were allowed to be hostile, and it was kind of like the trial of Jarjit from Canary Space, which I wrote, part 2, the Dark Ride story, where they had Jarjit, the bad guy on the planet, in the story, and everyone's a hostile witness, and even the prosecution and defense are yelling at each other and saying, this guy did this, this guy did this. The same idea. It was right out of that. So it's like, however, in the Canary Space sequel, it was different because they basically execute the accused at the end out on the street. That's what they do in their culture. The Letamok and the Darkrai were enemies in the story, and they go out into the road. And even though Cassins and his crew were like, no, we don't do that from Earth. We don't do that. We're not gonna harm him. We're gonna arrest him and put him in prison or whatever. But the local aristocracy is like, no, kill him now. They kill the guy on the street. That's more dramatic. Just because that's how they operate there on that planet. And the captain is all like, no. But that's what happened in the Canary Space story sequel. That didn't happen here. Just saying that here it was more like, oh, they murdered the torture guy earlier, and they never put him on trial. It'd be like if they put him on trial. So yeah. Anyway, that story they wrote was more messed up because the Jarjit bad guy had killed Cassins' wife, who was a commander of the other ship. So Cassins wanted to kill him, but he did. Yeah, that would have been illegal. So someone else did it, but yeah, and he wrestled with that in later episodes. You see, yeah, which became a thing later on when other characters. Anyway, different story, but similar. They clearly read Canary Space novels and put some of the elements of that in this episode. Here we have or something very similar. They could have also been just from the same material. They could have seen A Few Good Men. They could have seen The Jury. They could have seen any number of those old stories and they're going like, oh yeah, we'll just do that. And let's say they did that. Let's not say they looked at my novels on Amazon. They probably just read The Jury and some of those other ones, those Frank Grisham books and stuff. Yeah, so or saw the movie. But yeah, the torture scene was messed up, and the Havina has to admit that she's done wrong, even though she should know, even as a resistance leader, that allowing an adolescent to be her spy or mule is a bad idea. Don't do that. So even if she hadn't told her anything about the spy stuff, they would have taken her anyway and still done it. But don't do that. It's just no. Now there are similar characters to the Mocklins and their weird toxic masculine society where ironically they're all gay because they're all men and they're all reproduced asexually apparently. But yeah, and the heroes are the ladies who aren't, I guess. So you have this heroic lesbian colony and you have this toxic masculine gay colony in this story here. Whereas in Canary Space, I think it's part 3, part 4, they encounter the Totemus, who are a race of lizard-like alien things that are all men because they've defeated their women in the past. But that bites them in the butt too, because in a similar way, they find out where the women went to this other planet, and they're fierce warriors, and they come out and stop them. Toxic masculinity there too as well. The clearly Seth MacFarlane is a fan of that concept and knows Aries Base. Yeah, it bites him in the butt because the Totemus in this other story, they are eventually defeated by the alliance between the humans and the women and the females. Yeah. Of course, then there's an evil female race that shows up later called the Dryadin, who are dragon people. So sort of dragon people. Yeah, it's not a racial thing. They're just literally like dragon things, dragon creatures. Well, humanoids that kind of resemble them, sort of. Because they're from Draconis. Yes, yeah. I was thinking of Enemy Mine. But yeah, yeah. Enemy Mine and William Peter Blatty of The Exorcist as well. Kind of weird. Yeah, but they probably didn't read that either. They probably thought Enemy Mine. That's probably what they thought. The same source. That's MacFarlane is definitely a sci-fi fan, so they thought, oh yeah, this is kind of cool to have this alien. Bortos comes back at the end after they repair her injuries, and is very sorry and apologizes and rejoins them. And Grayson is invited to dinner with them, and although he's still kind of a hothead, so I suspect later on he's gonna freak out again. But at least he acknowledges that he was being a jerk in the previous episode. So Bortos being a jerk. Well, Clyden being a jerk, I should say. Clyden was a jerk, and Clyden came back. Bortos is there. We got to see Bortos kill the shit out of that bad guy. It's like, okay, she's all stand down, but only because he's already dead. It's like, the bad guy died. Yeah, I'm not amused at the torture. I'm amused that the bad guy got his ass kicked and then killed. That's what is amusing. So, I'll always kick your bad guy's ass. Anyway, so yeah, and Dolly Parton, and so we have a race of aliens taking Dolly Parton's 9 to 5 literally, yeah, which was yeah, so yeah, there's interesting cameos. Oh yeah, Bruce Boxleitner was the admiral. The guy from Babylon 5, which was funny. Yeah, this Bruce Boxleiter has been in here a couple of times. Yeah, as the other guy. It's kind of fun. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, he's the captain on the one of the captains on the. So there's a bunch of like in jokes and things. Not as many jokes this season though. This season has been straight up Next Generation drama. Yeah. In contrast to the Starship Chimera, Starship Locations season 3 will be comedy again because we don't want to do drama in space. The Transformer stuff kind of does drama, so we kind of do that there. And that third season over there, Lexicons is there are funny elements, but it's a drama. It's a soap opera in space, but a cool one though. Not your average cheesy soap opera, more like your G.I. Joe type of serial sci-fi adventure epic thing. As your character is basically doing like character like in chapter 1 we cut to commercial after what's his name has been wounded and then he's okay in the next thing. They fixed him. Very, very serialized. The end of the 20 minutes, oh no, he's totally gonna die. It's like no, they fixed him, he's fine. but in this case, yeah, yeah, it was an extra long episode, and it's not the finale. There are 2 more. We have Midnight Blue, and Domino next week, and Future Unknown. Domino and Future Unknown, the next 2. So shout out to the JP Orville website and the other guy that played Malloy, I think. Yeah, he wants to do a season 4. We'll see. We'll see if he does this. I mean, it's up to Seth MacFarlane, isn't it? Malloy going on, you're like, I want to do season 4. It's like, well, it's just you. We don't want to see that. No. But yeah, don't do the sitcom of the Malloys on their planet. No. But yeah, a messed up dramatic episode. Fun to watch, only that it's an action or kind of one. Trial drama and Chain of Command. Next Generation episode about Picard being tortured. Chain of Command, very, very much like that. But yeah, they're torturing like a child. That's fucked up. It was like for information. Torture doesn't work. Obviously, it's a metaphor for like torture, for forced interrogation. Ooh, it doesn't work because your spy will admit to anything under duress. Oh, power drill. 24. Ironically, Fox Television used to be Fox 20th Century Television. Used to be 20th Century Fox Television. Used to be. And they used to air a show called 24, where that would happen every week, that we'd have Richard Ryan or whatever going like, okay, now I'm going to torture this bad guy for information. Here's a power drill, or something. And it's like, no, torture's not cool, and you're not going to get any information out of anybody torturing. That's wrong. But also, the other lady shouldn't have... the Dolly Parton scene turned the lady's mind, which is kind of weird, into admitting everything, but really, they had other means to solving the case in the story, and they didn't need to do the other stuff. But sure, they wanted to drag it on for 90 minutes. All right, fine. But yeah, it was not a slog to watch it for 90 minutes. It could have been. These episodes are theatrical. They could be mini movies, fan films. They're theatrical. They're like, it just aired on a movie screen, and it was the Orville movie. Be like, all right, cool. That would be a satisfying movie of the Orville. I mean, sure. Yeah. Can't say that about all of those Netflix, Disney Plus ones over there. Disney Plus. They some of those episodes aren't satisfying, and that goes for some of the Netflix ones too. So, yeah, some of Falcon and the Winter Soldier had whole episodes that sucked thrown in there. I guess most of Hawkeye wasn't good. And if I was a shill for Disney, I wouldn't be allowed to say that. You see, so I'm not, obviously. And I'm not a shill for 20th century TV either. I haven't been when you. Yeah, I don't know why I was rambling about that. Anyway, so that's the review. Yeah.